NF's song Let You Down has gone insanely huge, and it's for good reason. It's because this song is incredibly deep, it sounds really cool, and it just means so much. Today I'm gonna break down Let You Down because on Tuesday we had a live stream and everybody there requested 3 songs/artists in particular. I decided to go with this one because this is what I was feeling most and because I think that Let You Down is such an incredible song and because I haven't done NF yet and it's a crime. So comment an artist you want to hear me explain and let's get started. Overall, there are 2 big theories as to what the song is about. One is that it's about his dad or his parents together, but mostly his dad, and about how NF feels like he let his father down. The other theory is that NF is letting himself down. And honestly, the lyrics of the song make it sound like it's more about his dad, but the music video makes it sound more like it's about him. Or maybe about how he and his dad are maybe not so different. NF has also called out reaction channels, which I am not, and other types of YouTube channels for explaining his songs incorrectly or overthinking them. So we're gonna try to look at this as simply and clearly as possible. Because goodness knows, I don't wanna show up as some sort of a diss track on his next album. The pop song professor always gets it wrong. The pop song professor's videos go way too long. Actually, let's be honest, it would sound more angry and more like Eminem. But as far as the music video goes, we see NF drowning, we see him burning alive in a car, and we see him dead in a coffin. This old man, who we think is his father from the very beginning, watches him and does nothing. At the very end, we see him very sad by the graveside, maybe feeling like he let somebody down. But then we later hear this man referred to as Nathan, and we see the word real tattooed on his arm, and NF has a real music tattoo on his arm. NF's first name is also Nathan. And so it plays mind games with us a little bit. Like, this is NF's father, and he's watching NF drown. And then it makes us think that maybe this is actually NF watching his younger version of himself drown, and maybe he's like feeling like he let his old version of himself down. Because the lyrics seem to be so much more about his father, I think that the music video is touching kind of on this NF seeing things from his father's perspective, or seeing how he might be like his father. Because the lyrics seem to be so much more about him letting his father down, I think that what he's doing in the music video is using his relationship to his father as a metaphor for his relationship to himself, and how he feels like maybe he should have stepped in and helped himself a little bit more, and not just let himself do maybe terrible things that he wishes he hadn't. So there's a lot going on there, and this isn't a music video explanation video, so let's focus on the lyrics. Alright guys, let's take a look at these lyrics. He says, "Feel like we're on the edge right now, I wish that I could say I'm proud, I'm sorry that I let you down. All these voices in my head get loud, I wish that I could shut them out." So this is the chorus, or the main theme of what's happening here. Notice that it's split into 3 parts. We have basically a mini verse, and then we have repeated the mini chorus, and then it's repeated down there. So what he's doing here is he says, "Feels like we're on the edge right now, I wish I could say I'm proud." So he's not maybe proud of himself here, and that's where we get kind of this idea of him just not being proud of himself. That's where maybe some people get that theory from. And then he says, "I'm sorry that I let you down," which is more towards letting somebody else down, but it could also be about him letting himself down. And then all these voices in my head get loud, I wish that I could shut them out, which is very much a blurry face idea, or the idea that he's being attacked by his own personal demons. It's a very interesting way to approach it, but every time he finishes, he reminds us that what the song is all about, that I let you down, I'm sorry. And now, if this person had too high of standards or was a jerk, then it's ridiculous for him to say sorry, but he's kind of an emotional prisoner to these expectations of somebody else or himself. And I think that's something we have to remember, is that when we have too high of expectations for other people that aren't reasonable, and it's not wrong to have expectations of other people, but we have to be forgiving. But if we have too high of expectations, sometimes they can get trapped trying to live up to those standards. Not only that, but we can sometimes have too high of standards for ourselves, which can keep us unhappy. You move into verse 1 here, and it gets a little bit more intense. "Yeah, I guess I'm a disappointment." So it's not even like he says, "Yes, I am a disappointment," or "No, I'm not." He's not even strong enough to fight this one way or another. He just gives up and says, "I guess. Doing everything I can, I don't want to make you disappointed." So he's still trying hard to keep away from it. So there's a little bit of fight left in him, but it's going in the wrong direction. And he's annoyed that this other person is making him go through these steps. "I just want to make you feel like everything I ever did wasn't ever trying to make an issue for you." So I think you can probably imagine, especially if we're going with the father theory, that maybe his dad's always telling him, "Hey, knock it off. Hey, you're annoying. Hey, this is a problem. Hey, you shouldn't have gotten in trouble like that. Now I have to go and deal with this." I mean, we've all seen plenty of movies with abusive fathers, or we've actually lived it. And we know that is, he's afraid of making his father mad, making an issue for you. But I guess the more you thought about everything, you were never even wrong in the first place, right? So maybe at one point, The dad was almost about to say, you know what, son, it's okay, I forgive you. But he just talked himself into this place where he wasn't going to forgive NF at all. Yeah, I'm gonna just ignore you. And so because of this, because it's impossible, it's unrealistic to try to convince the dad that, NF is a good guy, he says, I'm just going to ignore you. Walking towards you with my head down, looking at the ground, I'm embarrassed for you. And this is a good point right here. This is almost a turning point because he's saying, like, I know exactly, or I know enough about what is right and what is wrong that I know enough to be embarrassed for you because you're the one here who is, pitiable or pathetic. Not pathetic in an insulting way, but pathetic in a way where I feel bad for you because there's just so little you can do to be happy or to be a good person. And he says, paranoia, what did I do wrong this time? So the dad gave him paranoia, maybe, because he's like, oh, no, dad's mad. Like, this must be my fault. And so he's always on the lookout for, whatever could be his fault. And so he's trying to avoid guilt and blame. He says, that's parents for you. He's had such a terrible experience with his parents that for him, that's what the word parents means. And he says, very loyal, should have had my back, but you put a knife in it. My hands are full. What else should I carry for you? I cared for you. So he's helping his parents out, but because his hands are full and he can't protect himself now because he's carrying their crap for them, they stab him in the back and he feels betrayed. Moving on to verse 2 here, he says, yeah, you don't want to make this work. You just want to make this worse. Which is really cool poetry. And actually, I want to look at one thing in verse 1. He does this cool thing where he repeats the same sound. Disappointment. I want to make you disappointed. It's annoying. I just want to make you feel like everything I ever did wasn't trying to make an issue for you. But I guess the more you thought about everything, you were never even wrong in the first place, right? Yeah, I'm just ignore you. Walking towards you with my head down, looking at the ground. I'm embarrassed for you. Paranoia. Why do you wrong this time? That's parents for you. Very loyal, should have my back. What else should I carry for you? So it's really interesting how he wrote this stanza. He basically based it around a sound that keeps showing up. My guess, like if I were going to write this, I would just have that sound in my mind, and I would just think of all of the words that connected with that, and then put them together and just make a list. And then I would start writing my story, but I would keep coming back to that list every time I got stuck or every time I wanted to put something together. And that's a really good way to write poetry, and it also kind of reflects kind of the looseness of this, where there is an overall theme, but this part where he says, what else should I carry for you, and then I'm embarrassed for you, both feel like they're kind of going off the rails a little bit and like they're about something slightly different. And so it feels like it's not a completely cohesive idea, which suggests that maybe the sounds were more important to him. And that's not that it's poorly written, it's just that that's what he decided to emphasize. Yeah, you don't want to make this work, you just want to make this worse. Want me to listen to you, but you don't ever hear my words. You don't want to know my hurt yet. So this is more of the same. We're talking about that parent-father-son relationship. Let me guess, you want an apology, probably. How can we keep going at a rate like this? And so he's asking, like, hey, this relationship is not sustainable. He uses the word we, which usually he's been saying you or I, but in this case he says we, which brings them together as a unit. So he's asking, like, if we together as a unit are going to accomplish something, how are we going to do it if we keep doing this? Or if you keep doing this? We can't. So I guess I'm going to have to leave, and that's when the I becomes separate from the we, and he becomes his own unit again. Please don't come after me. I just want to be alone right now. I don't really want to think at all. Go ahead, just drink it off. So his dad's got an alcohol problem. Both know you're going to call tomorrow like nothing's wrong. And so he'll call up and pretend like he didn't do anything wrong, and he just tries to, shove it down. This dad obviously is suffering a lot. I would be so interested for the dad to write a rap about what he's experiencing internally, because usually, most of the time, people don't hurt people just for the sake of hurting people. Like, there's usually almost always something wrong inside of them. In fact, I might go so far as to say that there's always something wrong inside of them, because hurting other people is not our natural inclination. There are things wrong with people that cause or, make it easier for them to decide to do that. People are still accountable for what they do, but some people, there are more temptations for them than there are for others. Ain't that what you always do? I feel like every time I talk to you, you're in awful mood. What else can I offer you? NF feels like he's being run dry. There's nothing left right now. I gave it all to you. Oh man, that is so powerful. I gave it all to you. A lot of people, he's a Christian rapper, remember? Or he writes some Christian songs, even though he doesn't see himself as a Christian rapper, but he was, I think, on a Christian label for a little while, and he is a Christian. Usually when Christians say that, they talk about to God, or they talk about God giving it all to people. It's usually like a spiritual relationship. But in this sense, he's been sucked dry. And so it's not a positive thing to give it all to you. It's a negative thing because it's to a human. Verse 3. Yeah, don't talk to me. Don't talk down to me. That's not going to work now. So he's been very powerless in previous stanzas, and now he's getting a little bit more powerful. He's saying, don't talk down to me. That's not going to work now, this time. Something has changed. Packed all my clothes and moved out. I gained personal agency, which is just a fancy way of saying I have taken control over my life. I don't even want to go to your house. Every time I sit on that couch, I feel like you lecture me. He doesn't want to be a kid anymore. He doesn't want to be under the control of this guy. Eventually, I bet that we could have made this work and probably would have figured things out. Maybe, yeah, so it could have happened. But the problem is that it really seems like it's all this other guy's fault. I mean, at least, it's not always completely one person's fault. You always could have done something a little bit better, right? If you're the person who's less at fault. But he is giving them significant benefit of the doubt here. But I guess I'm a letdown. But it's cool. I checked out. Like, I'm not going to worry about you anymore. Oh, and now you want to be friends, huh? Okay, let's put my fake face on. So he feels like he has to go be friends with him because this person expects it and might get angry if NF says he doesn't want it anymore. And pretend now, sit down, and talk about the good times that didn't even happen. Man, that is incredible. So he's been out of the house for a while, so long so that this dad feels like he can BS his way, or maybe he actually has forgotten. Maybe he blocked it himself. Maybe he can BS his way into thinking that they actually had good times. And he says, I mean, why are you laughing? What's the point here? What is so funny? Because there is only pain in my memory. Must have missed that joke. Let me see if I can find a reaction. No, but at least you're happy. And I think a lot of people probably within NF's fan base feel like they have to make other people happy around them and like it's not about themselves. That's a dangerous place to be. I don't have all the answers concerning that, but I think it's a powerful connection between him and his fans. Overall, with these different stanzas, I think that if we go with the theory of NF being, saying that he let himself down, I think it would be really tough to prove that with these lyrics. I think they're so focused on this other person, this you, and it's situations where you wouldn't really be doing this with yourself. I mean, he could be putting on his fake face and pretending, as he talks about, must have missed a joke with, the good times that he used to have, but he doesn't really remember the actual good times. I don't think that works so well because I don't think you put on a fake face with yourself. That's kind of a metaphor that usually always works with other people. And then we have the message of that's parents for you, and then my hands are full, what else should I carry for you? It could be about, past memories of his own, baggage and everything, but I think that it's not super likely out of these, even if the music video does make it more likely. So overall, this song, from my perspective, the theory that I'm going to go with is that it is about his father and that it is about his relationship with him. And I think if we do want to bring in this idea of him letting himself down, I think that the way we can best do that is that by him letting his father down, I think he conflates his father with some sort of sense of what he should be in his own mind. And so I think he feels like he let his father down, and in a way he feels like that means like he's a failure, and so he feels like he's let himself down. So those two ideas do go together. I think it starts with the father and then leads to the self. And I think the self is largely implied in the song. So I think that both themes are true to an extent. I think the father one is more explicit, and I think the self one is more implied. And so it really, both theories could be accurate here, and I think they're kind of muddled together a little bit. So very, very interesting song, though. Hey guys, I'd love to hear your theories about this, so hit me up in the comments. Is it about NF's father, or is it about NF's relationship with himself, or is it weirdly about both? I'd love to hear what you have to say, and please suggest an artist you'd like to hear me explain songs from in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you later.